Just because things seem a bit out of order or a bit messy, as you look back in life, you can see where all of the different dots connected. In the midst of the toasting, Sherry put her glass down and she said to me, "Phil, we decided that you're marrying the wrong person. Life is not always perfect and it's not as we always see it, but boy, it's pretty exciting when we just allow things to unfold in our pure obedience and surrendering." He got really angry. He put his hands on his hips and he said, "No, if we're going to postpone our wedding, we're going to cancel it altogether." You're listening to Build It Messy, the podcast for women who are ready to stop waiting until they have it all together and start building the life that's been calling their name. I'm your host, Kimberly A. I'd like to welcome you each week as we have honest conversations about faith, family, forgotten dreams, and the courage it takes to go after what God planted in you long before life got loud. Because here's what I know to be true: the most beautiful things, they don't start clean, they start messy. So let's get into it. You're experiencing our very first episode in our podcast, and I could not be more grateful to have you here. Thank you for joining us today. Build It Messy. I wonder what you think when you hear that. I remember when we first came up with the name for the podcast, I didn't like it at first because I like to pride myself in having it all together, being neat and organized, when in reality, it's not always that way. I've come from building a business with my husband for over 22 years, which really got messy in some areas before it got better. Raising three boys who are now amazing men, which wasn't always neat, tidy, put together with a bow on top. It was challenging and often messy, but we persevered through it all. And I really think that is the message that I want to give in this podcast, not only to encourage you to keep going, encourage you to find that dream, to remember that dream that was put on your heart, and not to give up, to pursue that dream just because things seem a bit out of order or a bit messy. Sometimes it just takes 10 seconds of courage to make that choice, to make that decision, to have that faith and that courage to walk through exactly where you need to be. And sometimes as you look back in life, you can see where all of the different dots connected to put you right where you are today, right where you need to be. In the midst of all the people around you that were put there for a purpose, for you, for you to build in the mess. Years ago, I was living in Washington, D.C. I was a flight attendant, and at the time I was engaged. Two of my girlfriends decided they would come and visit me for the 4th of July so we could see the fireworks at our nation's capital. As a matter of fact, we're celebrating 250 years this year in our nation's capital. That's super exciting. I was looking forward to their visit. Could not wait. All of a sudden, knock on the door, 10 o'clock at night, hugs, 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 drop their bags, and pop the bottle of champagne. Many toasts going on that night. Just toasting our friendship. We'd been friends for so many years. And our next few days that we were going to have together, enjoying the fireworks and the touring around and just each other's company. Do you ever have those moments where you're just with some good friends and it's just a very comfortable feeling? You just kind of let your hair down and you can actually breathe, laugh, and enjoy the moment. That's what it was like this night. In the midst of the toasting, Sherry put her glass down and she said to me, "Phil, we decided as we were driving up from South Carolina that you're marrying the wrong person." I was shocked, taken back. We'd been friends for a really long time, so that really hit me hard when they announced that I was marrying the wrong person, and especially hard because I was getting married in October. This was July. We were up until 4 o'clock in the morning, them telling me why they felt the way that they did, my defense for why I was marrying This person, we were up until 4 a.m., them telling me why they felt the way that they did, me defending my stance on it. But yet, deep down inside, I knew that they were right. Everything seemed to be tangled in my life all of a sudden. I couldn't make sense of it. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever had friends tell you something that you knew deep down inside they were right about, but yet you wanted to defend until the end? Well, that's basically what I did. We went out and we enjoyed all the festivities, and the following day after the 4th, we found ourselves at the Jefferson Memorial taking pictures. Out of nowhere, this guy comes up to us and he says, "Hey, I want to take a picture of all you gals together. You keep separating." So we were taking pictures of two of us and one, and so he took a picture of all of us together. Well, that photo session turned into dinner and dancing. And we returned back to my condo, and my girlfriend said to me, "Now, see, that's the kind of guy we can see you marrying. Somebody vivacious and outgoing and just seemed to really gel." I just kind of put it on the wayside and thought, whatever. But a couple of weeks later, I was having dinner with my dad, my sweet, sweet daddy, and he began to ask me questions. Instead of asking me questions about the wedding planning, he started asking me questions about how I was feeling, what I was doing, and how things were going with my fiance. I kept answering his questions until he just dug a little bit deeper, and I finally confessed. I finally told him, "Well, I met this guy, John, at the Jefferson Memorial in DC. Unfortunately, and this is really how I felt at the time, he is from California. He's from the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. I'm engaged. I was super confused. Everything was getting more cloudy and messy. And my dad told me, "You need to rectify the situation." So the next day, took a picnic dinner, and I had it all laid out at the park for my fiance. And when he arrived after he got off of work, instead of running down to his car, I stood there, stopped, cement blocks on my feet, could not run. As he approached, I began to cry. I lost it, completely lost it. He looked at me and he gave me a hug and he asked me, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "Yeah, everything's fine. I just really feel like we need to postpone our wedding." And he got really angry, he put his hands on his hips, and he said, "No, if we're going to postpone our wedding, we're going to cancel it altogether." At that moment, my mind went back to my meeting I'd had earlier that day with my pastor. We talked about everything, and as I was leaving, my pastor said to me, "If he does not want to postpone the wedding and he wants to cancel it altogether, then just give him his ring back." Sprung back into the present, looking at him, I handed him his ring. He went his way, and I went mine. Weeks following, I went back down to my parents'. I walked back into my bedroom, and I looked at the closet door, and I knew on the other side of that closet door, my wedding gown was hanging in that closet. I slowly turned the knob and opened the door. And as I did that, the sun behind me just hit my wedding gown, just lit up the entire closet. I fell to my knees. And all of a sudden, I hear this still small voice, "Get up." And I stood up. I really felt like it was the Lord talking to me. He said, "Get up. You will wear that wedding gown, but it'll be with the man that I've chosen for you, not who you've chosen for you." So I dried my tears. I closed the closet door and I walked into my future. I had made some pretty courageous steps, which changed the trajectory of my life. I never thought I would end up on the West Coast. I never thought that I would walk away from everything that I knew that was familiar. It was scary territory. Things were messy. I did not have every step planned in front of me. It was amazing. It was just an amazing time in my life. And I think even after all of that, throughout the rest of my years, through to put me to where I am right now, I often look back at that moment in time when I took that step of courage. I had that faith to take the next step, but the step of courage is what took me through. and it landed me in a life of adventure that I would have never had. Now that was messy. Staying persistent in what you feel that God's calling you to do is the most important thing, staying faithful to what it is that you know that He's called you to do. I don't know if my story resonates with you or not, but I sure hope it does. And I hope that in the days to come and in the weeks to come, we're able to unpack a lot of things in your life, as I've done in mine, that we're able to look at some situations in your own life. We're able to unpack some things so that you can move forward and the life that's meant for you. Life is not always perfect and it's not as we always see it. But boy, it's pretty exciting when we just allow things to unfold in our pure obedience and surrendering. But life can be messy, and I'm excited to explore it with you. Hey, if today's episode hit home, I'd love for you to share it with a woman in your life who really needs to hear it. And also leave a review. If this podcast is becoming a part of your journey, it sure means the world to us, and it will help us reach more women who are ready to build. If you're feeling that pull, that quiet voice saying, it's time, I want to invite you to take this next step. There's a link in the show notes to book a 30-minute discovery call with me. Just come as you are. We'll figure out the rest together. So until next time, start messy, stay faithful, and keep building. I'm Kimberly A. This is Build It Messy, and I'll see you next week.